What's very exciting about this program and a little bit special to this program is all of our candidates are raising money in honor of our Boy and Girl of the Year, which are local patients and local survivors. So whether you are a candidate, a campaign team member, you are family, friends, not even affiliated, just here in the room for whatever reason, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming, and thank you for your support.
Matthew was 5, and it was his third day of kindergarten when he started feeling bad. And a few days after that, he was diagnosed, and that was a devastating and very scary concept to think about your child being sick and with cancer and not really understanding and not even being able to really say the word. What gave me comfort as we started to learn more was the tremendous amount of research that has been done to treat children and adults and to treat patients. I saw how the steps were all laid out, and there were these road maps, and everything was already there, and and there was a plan to save my child. It was very comforting, and really just gave me some peace.
We're all together tonight to support Nadia and every other person who is a survivor, any family. I don't think there's a family in our country and probably the world that hasn't had someone they love become sick with cancer or lose someone to cancer. You face this adversity, the comfort knowing, I'm going to say the same thing that Matthew's mom said, to know that there's a cure, to know that my child will have a long life expectancy, that she has the chance for an education, to be a mother, a singer, a doctor, anything she wants to be. She is a happy, healthy young girl today, and she is 2 years in remission. Right in our backyard, we could take her to a competent doctor, a great hospital, for them to have the roadmap. And I think for me, just hearing about how treatment was 20 and 30 years ago, the lives that were lost that we now have today, that's the big deal for me, that I am very grateful to God that my child had that chance with a better treatment. And we hope, what we've gone through, that if someone's diagnosed in the future, there could be less treatment, even more comfortable treatment. The research that I've heard about through LLS is just blowing my mind, and we were in that reality of knowing our child's sick. So we want to thank all of you for coming out tonight to step forward and say, I'm going to make a difference.
My mother at the end of 2012 was diagnosed with lymphoma cancer. She found a lump in her throat, but felt wonderful. She couldn't understand what was going on. After I hung up the phone and found out my mother had lymphoma cancer, I sent this woman an email, and within 48 hours, I had a package on my desk, and my mother had information at the house, and she constantly stayed in contact with me to make sure that I was informed and I knew what was going on. So then that way I would have a better understanding, because remember, I'm all the way here in Florida. I'm not there with my mom. I didn't get to take her to chemo treatments. I didn't get to make sure that she was eating. I didn't get to be there. And so for me doing this, immediately I said, definitely I'm there.
I'm a Florida cancer specialist over at the Villages, where I am a general community practitioner seeing all cancer patients, but still doing my research focus in leukemia and lymphoma. So my cause is basically to spend my days treating patients and spend my evenings fundraising for the cause, and hopefully we'll find a cure.
When I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with leukemia. Was supposed to have a bone marrow transplant immediately. Instead opted to try a relatively new drug for the times called Gleevec, which was wildly successful for me and has allowed me to live a life with such high quality, something that I never could have dreamed of, and had I had the bone marrow transplant, I wouldn't have been able to have all those wonderful experiences that I've had the past 7 years. I just found out recently that the researcher who developed Gleevec was funded by the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. 15, 20 years ago, this same thing was going on, and people were saying someday someone's life is going to be different because of what we did. And I'm just here to say thank you I'm that someone, and this is someday. I've been able to experience so many things, like Nadia's mom said. I just want my daughter to have the chance to get an education, to dream, to do what she wants, and I dreamt, and I had the opportunity to fulfill my dreams, becoming a professional wakeboarder, going to school, getting an education, just being able to live with the quality of life that I do. So we really are making a difference. We're doing it. Let's do it for someone else.
My main motivation for this is, I guess it was about 20 years ago. I remember my cousin was diagnosed with leukemia. I still remember sitting in the waiting room, getting to see him once every couple times I went in there, and just hoping for the best. And now I can say he's way through remission, healthy family, 3 kids, married. And so when it all comes down to it, that's really the motivation I think we all need. Is we've all been touched by this, and it's very important.
Cancer has hit me everywhere in my life. I lost my mom at 41, and there's times that you think, when you watch these children and you watch the people in this room, and the people that have gone through it and been touched so close and been so far apart, you can't do anything about it. And it's a tough time. So when I think about what I do for LLS and what I do for trying to raise this piece, it's not about being the man of the year. It's about being dedicated to trying to remove this from everybody's life. So I want to eradicate cancer. I want to destroy cancer, every form of it. Leukemia, lymphoma, non-Hodgkin's, Hodgkin's, and every acronym I can't even begin to start to remember.
My goal is to just work as hard as I can, get as many people involved, and raise as much money as I can for this amazing organization who I think is on the forefront of solving cancer. I honestly believe that, and I'm so happy to be involved.
When I was 19 years old, a childhood friend of mine and a cousin was diagnosed with leukemia, very aggressive form of leukemia. I don't know what it was because I was 19, so I wasn't that educated on it. But I remember visiting him, and we sat down, and he had just got through chemo, a round of chemo, and we were in his mom's living room, and we were yucking it up, making jokes, doing what we did. I left, and 2 weeks later he passed away. And he was 20 years old, I was 19. So as a 19-year-old, you think you're invincible. At least most of us probably did. And I realized at that point that not only are we not invincible, but we're subject to things that everyone else is subject to. And the thing that hits me really hard about leukemia and lymphoma is that it doesn't discriminate. It hits young people. And I think the hardest thing to think about is, all the youth in the world that could be saved from the good work that we're doing.
We've heard some really amazing stories this evening, and so I really don't have to tell you how much this means to the people who are in this room. We don't know how to prevent blood cancers at this point, and we don't know how they are caused. So all we can do is to look for the cure, and we are doing that. And something that Alexa said about someday, you hear people talk about someday there'll be a cure. And for us at LLS, we are really celebrating that for many of you in this room, someday is today. We have Gleevec. We didn't have Gleevec 15 years ago. For blood cancer survival rates have doubled, tripled, even quadrupled just since the 1960s. That wasn't very long ago, was it? And so we're so proud of that. And we couldn't have done that without the help of all the people who have gone before you. But there's still more to be done because we've heard other stories of people who their someday is not today. So we have to keep fighting. We have to keep raising the money. You're here to do it with us. We couldn't do it without you. We're so grateful. The money is going to the right cause. You've heard that. And we are saving lives, not someday, but today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.